The third type of equation are quadratics with a single trig function. And what we're going to be dealing right now is using quadratics or factoring in order to solve. And in these next two sections, we're going to see two types. The first type here is where we've got the same trig function in both the squared and the not squared term. The next section we look at is what happens if we've got one trig function that's squared and another one that's not squared. How do we deal with that? But for today, we're going to do this section that is everything is with the same trig function. So we can use U substitution, we can use Mac factoring, we can use quadratic formula. Anything that we've done before with quadratics we can still apply here. So for the first one, 2 cosine squared of x plus cosine of x minus 1 equals 0. In order to solve, my equation needs to be equal to 0. And then I can go through and I can do my Mac factoring. Here, I take 2 times negative 1, which is negative 2. What are the factors of negative 2 that add up to be positive 1? And you know that's going to be a positive 2 and a negative 1. So this will be 2 cosine squared of x plus 2 cosine of x minus 1 cosine of x minus 1 equals 0. So there's my two factors that multiply to be negative 2 but add up to be the positive 1. We'll do my factor by grouping, and I can pull it out at 2 cosine of x, and then I'm left with cosine of x plus 1. In the back I can factor out a negative 1, and I'm left with a cosine of x plus 1. I've got my two factors are everything that is outside the parentheses, then everything that's inside the parentheses. So 2 cosine of x minus 1 and cosine of x plus 1 is equal to 0. And then since we've got two quantities equal to 0, let's set each one equal to 0. So 2 cosine of x minus 1 equals 0. Cosine of x plus 1 is equal to 0. So here we'll add 1 to both sides, divide by 2. Cosine of x is equal to 1/2. Here the cosine of x equals negative 1. And then finally we'll take the arc cosine to both sides. So x is going to be the arc cosine of 1/2. And x is going to be the arc cosine of negative 1. And these guys happen to be on the unit circle. So you don't need to draw out all our reference triangles. What values on the unit circle do we have an x value of positive 1/2? Well, in the fourth quadrant and first quadrant is where we are going to be positive. And so as we solve that, our answers will be in the first and the fourth quadrant. So our cosine is going to be a positive 1/2 at pi over 3. And also in the fourth quadrant, which would be our 5 pi over 3 value. And where do we have the arc cosine of negative 1? Well, that's going to be at x is equal to pi.